Welcome back, Keepers of the Flame. Okay, quickie, real quick, sort of, hopefully. the so the outlook, it looks pretty bleak. I get that. It's pretty not happiness. How about that? So, taking back the sovereign nature of ourselves. Remember, we're sticking to nature and the truth and all that other stuff. So the sovereign nature of who we are, how we exist in the world, what we're putting out. This is where things get difficult because you have so many narratives pulling at people, pulling at groups, pulling at whatever. That when that rubber meets the road, it's really important that you pay attention. When you're having an existence that is being challenged by every single aspect of living in society, you know, for example, you know, okay, you got a pulse, right? You got a pulse right there. Okay, you paying attention to it? Notice how it is right now. Ready? Password. So just that simple aspect of existence throws you into, oh my freaking god. The system was designed that way. It was not designed for ease. We have been conned into believing it was designed for ease, just like we want to believe that the machines that they came up with in the 50s were to make wives' lives easier and to get them back in the kitchen and have new toys to play with because they didn't want to go back to the kitchen after working and getting their own money. Even though they couldn't spend it, they couldn't have their own bank account. They couldn't have their own bank account until 1974. Working since like the 20s, I want to say. Not allowed to have their bank account until 1974. So, what does that mean? It's not that they couldn't spend their money, it's that they couldn't spend their money without a man's signature. 1974. 51 years ago. Look what we've done. We're homeowners, we're more educated. 50 years it took for us to be like, thousands of years, whatever. So, and yeah, that's gonna, if you have so much invested in your own masculinity and you have so much invested in being on top and being this, that, and the other thing, which at one point they probably were something more similar to being protective for their families, but they have dropped off that entirely. There's very few masculine out there that have a protector mentality. So not only are they not even going out and perceiving protection, they won't even hold energy space for it. So they're not saying, oh, there's a female energy in my environment. I'm just going to hold space for her protection. They don't even do that anymore. They're not even aware of it. They're not even there. Okay. So when it comes down to comprehending, and again, we don't demand people change. We don't force them into modalities they don't want to exist in. That's not, no, we don't do that under any circumstances. That's their choice. That's their right to choose. If we want a right to choose, we give them a right to choose. See how that works? If you don't want to take a freaking shot, you shouldn't have to take a shot. That becomes a really slippery slope. If you don't want to wear a mask, you shouldn't have to wear a mask. Slippery slope again. Because once you claim that you have some sort of weird autonomy over another human being, whoop, there goes rights. That's what they were testing for. They're constantly testing the environment. And boy, did we let them get away with a lot. So it's not always about, oh, it's for your safety, for your protection, or we have to What did they do to start a war again? Something. Either way. They started a war in the wrong country who didn't even bomb us and all that other crap. Anyway, back to the idea of moving forward, protection, all that good stuff. So while it seems hopeless, there's a lot of a lot of amazing people out there behind the scenes doing the hard work, exploring modalities of existing without depending on the systems that now be. And that means so okay, let's take examples here. We just put a whole lot of women out of work. Again, some more harder, whatever you want to call it. My critters are a mess. So we just made a whole lot of people not professionals, okay? Made children vulnerable as if they weren't before. My glorious little creatures are being playful. Anyway, as if the children weren't vulnerable enough, here we are. So then we have job loss to boot and whatever else. So, and that's in a science-based field. And then Department of Education is now in the war. Yeah. Well, at least we can say thank you, Red Pill, for not doing your freaking job. Because as much as they're succeeding at femicide, they're not signing up to go to war. So, pushing through that, pushing forward, there's an energetic pattern that's starting to emerge, which is total and complete destruction. And it's not for our disheartenment, I want to say. It's for dropping the illusion that those people who pass out the authority have authority. It is starting to sink in. It's starting to really sink into the general population that those authorities don't actually have authorities. And that's why they need to keep swiping jobs. They need to keep shuffling things aside. They need to keep poo-pooing. If they're not attacking you, what were we talking about earlier today? If they don't feel the need to have power and control over you, you don't possess any power and control. So the fact that they are now asserting power and control over who has blah, 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 should tell you a lot. And what is it that it should tell you? Okay, I'll just break this down on a 12th house Scorpio stellium Nancy Drew Scooby-Doo level. Okay, so we have the modality where they're already telling us where the power is, where they're trying to take it away. Okay, so wherever there's like, ooh, we're gonna scorch a little, that's where the power is. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. That's where the power is. If they feel threatened, if they're losing their kahunas, if they're whatevering, toot-tooing, okay? So this is happening on a massive, massive scale. They are working their rear ends off right now to make sure that the feminine is the demon in the history books, okay? So while they just swiped that aside, okay, giving leeway to a plethora of women no longer being obligated to report naughty, horrible, disgusting things, we have to look at the other side of the coin. Okay, so they're attacking education. But first, what did they do? Just going to face off. They let women succeed in those areas and take major posts. They let women do that. Why? Because then in the history books, buckle up, Buttercup. This is not going to taste good. It's not going to feel good. It's going to piss you right off. in the history books is going to be recorded that during this time of blah, 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 women had a lot more power than they should have. Women had a lot more degrees. Women had a lot more authority, even though they're really not letting us perceive that. But in the history books, what they're going to document through this is women were more educated, women had more housing, and look what happened to the system. So we've got to be really diligent. We've got to understand because there's another narrative that's running right now. I don't know if you've seen it through the algorithm, that a lot of the biblical characters were women. A lot of like female suppressed, Mary Magdalene, Sophia, even Moses was a woman, blah, 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 blah. So now they're throwing religion under the bus, and now they're giving the authorities back to the women, supposedly. Who the freak knows anymore? So instead of having the men be responsible for how crap religion turned out, it's actually women's fault, because women were originally all the leaders. They just switched it over to men, and everything has just been peaches and cream these last thousands of years. So gotta be careful, okay? So whilst we are busy trying to get equal rights, let us be diligent about not letting them rewrite the script so that feminine again turns into some sort of Eve of the story. Okay. You're gonna have to just kind of gently digest this for yourself so you're not in overload mode. But we do need to keep an eye on that, because that's a movement. It's a huge movement, and it's all invasive. So when you have science and religion trying to like backtrack everything, women had more scientific positions. You're even seeing it in movies and like propaganda where like there's I'm not even gonna say her name because she's standing next to like a stack of papers that they said she wrote herself to get the Apollo craft to the moon. Yes, Faisal. And then they're saying that what was it? African American women helped get that another shuttle to the moon. I don't know. And then you have a whole slew of people saying we didn't go to the moon. I don't know. Anyway, just be leery of we're gonna take the men out and then insert women. So that way this whole system that has been functioning the way it has been. Right, Faisal? Oh, still not there. Faisal! The whole system that's been there can now downfall because women were actually behind the scenes doing all the work and in charge. That's why everything failed. So what do we learn from this? Number one, stop giving the authority to anybody else. Just stop giving authority away, period, the end. Just cut it off, okay? You're a sovereign, independent human being that can pick up a book, do some research, and treat it like you would a resource paper. Find the reliable resources that you know that you can go out and test in a functional way, rather than having to take somebody's word for it. And if they've taken that power, that access to whatever it is away from you, then it probably... it's more than likely a scam and hoax. So if you don't have access to XYZ information, You got to be careful. You got to vet that stuff out so much. And we have this mentality too that we like to think that, you know, we're going to get to the bottom of it through some weird occult thing or some hidden knowledge or whatever the heck it is. And that's usually not the case. It's not the case. So you've got to be diligent. You've got to do your human homework. So the most important thing you can do for yourself is learn to get inside your own body. Get safe in your own skin. I can't express that enough. Getting safe in your own body. And that, hands on heart, 3 deep breaths. Okay. And then asking your heart what it wants. Don't bring it up here. There's a bridge. This is where everything meets, and that's where everything comes up. But 80% of everything is sent to the brain from the heart. Only 20% is sent downwards as far as energy goes. So that's a good way to start remembering how to bridge things for yourself, how to be fully present in this moment for yourself. And it's not woo-woo. I know, you know, everybody's sick of hearing Eckhart Tolle stuff and all that other stuff, but it really does. If you can bring yourself to the present moment and be the whole person and not have to perform, act, pretend, whatever it is, and just be like, this is me, this is all of it, you know, mess and all, chaos and all. Taking your whole self and moving forward rather than sorry, cat hair. I'm gonna shard myself into something that's socially acceptable. I'm gonna break myself and only take the pretty little bits and pieces that fit into somebody else's narrative that has something to do with being socially accepted and filled with clout. As I sit here like this, but all my previous videos have been different. I had a meeting, okay? Back off. When we can step into that moment, the right here, right now, hand on heart, deep breaths, come into our body, ask ourselves what we need, where the truth is, how does this resonate in my body? So rather than having to go back and go, I'm going to have to take a couple courses on how to maneuver through emotions or whatever it is, start with your body first. Because that's the one thing that's not going to lie to you. Okay? It just doesn't. It just doesn't lie. And the initial contact with yourself is going to feel jarring. It's going to feel a little, really uncomfortable. Just, okay. And if there's a part of you that's hurting, if there's a sore part or a, you know, diseased part or whatever, rather than going like this, send it love. Invite it in. Get intimate with it. What do you need me to learn about this situation? Because your body, every body part is connected to a different energetic pattern. It starts right here. Okay. So this is where we're supposed to live from, but because we live so much in here, it's creating a lot of dis-ease in the body. Okay. So that's your light at the end of the tunnel. You go right in here because this has light in it. This guy has a light, this guy, and then your sacral chakra has a light in it. Yeah, 3 lights. So if you can bring your attention in rather than feeling out for everything else, yeah, you can keep track of things. Yes, you can see what the trends are. Yes, you can follow the patterns. But again, bringing it back and going, okay, how are we going to deal with it? How do we need to move forward? How is this going to impact my life? Is it going to impact my life? And if it's not going to impact my life, we're not really going to need to address it. But if it does impact your life, work with the energy. Don't fight against it. Don't negate it. Don't put it off. Work with it. No, I'm not talking about politics or religion or science. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how do we, when moving forward in life, feel the most comfortable in our body, safest in our skin, wisest in our heart space, without having any outside source jerking us around. That's the environment is unfortunately extremely ripe for that, because when you are dismantling from a religion and when science is going to biff it too, the majority of the information from both sides have been completely and totally corrupted to the point where we might not even ever be able to go back to what we had before. We're going to have to, for lack of a better word, start from scratch, because of how manipulated and torturous and how much truth has been thrown in the shredder so that science could make a buck and so religion could make a buck. So what they're going to try to do once again is what the Baconator did, was swipe the whole freaking thing, privatize it, make it inaccessible to the general populace, put authorities at the top, misinform them to the devastating state of like mass psychosis, mass imprisonment in here. You don't need chains and bars when you have authorities that know how to instill Stockholm syndrome through various forms of media, life circumstances, passwords, social security numbers, driver's license, blah, 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 blah. All this contributes to this traumatic system they have set up. And if you don't do this right, if you don't do that right, if you don't do this, just to merely freaking breathe on the planet, you're going to get vetted. So, swimming through the soup that is the giant chrysalis that is Earth right now, because what it is, it's a giant chrysalis. We're all a big bag of mush right now, and we're just watching it all disintegrate before our eyes. You want to come up again? And so come on. So when the system is crumbling, it's not for you to grapple onto another one. Just because religion's taking a dump doesn't mean science has it going on, okay? Right, Faso? I might have lost your attention. Fine. The clitoris has 10,000 nerves in it. Now that I have your attention. The cervix, show of hands who've had that pap smear, the cervix that they pluck at like an unattended Thanksgiving turkey with 0 pain meds has 200,000 nerves in it. Okay? Science is not where it's at either. It's another torture device. It is torturous. It is... Let me say this again. Science is just a torture device for making sick people, parasite the bank account for the rest of their lives so they can live off of this thing that's not doing much of anything but numbing the symptoms rather than actually acknowledging there's the dis-ease there, right? We don't know what's happening with you, but we're just going to numb everything down so you stop complaining. It's not healing. It's torture with a pretty little tag slapped on it. And ask me how many homeless people they've created because they can't pay their bills. Yes, Faisal. Okay? So that's not functionable either. And you can't just say, oh, the doctors don't select the insurance companies. The insurance companies do that. The hospital can turn around and give the entire middle finger to the insurance company. That's feasible. Are they going to make much money? Probably not. And that's where the system gets really monopolized. So, I suppose she needs more scientific evidence that science is torturous. You ever watch somebody have to go into the hospital for a long, extended period of time only to get sicker, more decapitated, more debilitated? Decapitated. It's been a day. The amount of harm that system does for the sake of a few good. And the few have to have a lot of money. The few have to have a lot of money in order to survive that. How about this story? I knew a gentleman who did a lot of Red Bull courses. Like, he rode the motorbike, did the flips and all that crazy Daredevil stuff. I don't remember what his face was. Anyway, so he did a lot of those courses and he biffed it. He biffed it really bad. I mean, we're talking like jaw broken, hanging off his face. Bad. And he refused to be seen here in the US. He taped this shit up. Took a flight over to France. Got put back together. Pretty well, I might add. Pretty well. Took like a month and a half to recoup over in France. A month and a half. Flew back and still spent like an eighth of the amount of money it would have cost him to get seen here in the US. An eighth. All the way over to France. Paid them out of pocket. Because the rich can do that. All the way over to France. A month and a half vacationing there. And then flew back. That's insane. That's disgustingly pathetic is what that is. Anyway. So, just an example of how this it never needed to be what it is today. It never needed to be that way. And we just let it. Okay, so let's take our personal sovereignty and autonomy back now. Get off this whole we hate feminist train thing, because we're not looking to take over the world. We just want some pain meds before you pluck at our cervix like it's a Thanksgiving fucking turkey. That's it. It's like, we are not asking for the world. We are asking to be acknowledged as human beings. It's radical. I understand that. It is radical. You can't debate that. It is a radical, rebellious request for a woman to be seen as a human being. It is a radical request to see in the US anyway, a minority as a human being. It's radical. I get it. And you think, I would never. So the personal sovereign autonomy thing needs to just be drawn back and put into alignment and register things in your body. So those of you freaking out about healthcare, go watch the documentary on the heart by HeartMath Institute. Go watch it. We can't suppress ideas, and we can heal ourselves. Go watch that documentary. They're right on the precipice. There's a group of us just waiting for somebody to catch the fuck up. So when you think everything's crumbling, know that it's not. Know that there's people working diligently, exploring new things of their own volition, without authorities telling us which book to stick our face in and how to think about it and how to react to it and how to respond to it and how to move forward in the world. not a requirement for existing. Da, 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 da. Okay, so please do yourselves a favor. Get sovereign. Get safe in the body. And unplug from as many systems as you possibly can. I know it's not all of them, and I get that, but as many as you can. Okay, so that I know I paint a real bleak picture. I do. I know I do. But once you get past that little, it's not so bad. It's not. We like to sometimes give ourselves Stockholm syndrome. Torturous, terrible, wretched, awful feelings. Why? Because that's all this system produces. And don't think for 1 second that the rich people have it better, because they are so unfulfilled themselves. Okay. I'm not asking for you to feel bad for them. I'm asking you to acknowledge the fact that something that behaves that way is not going to be able to fulfill anything. Okay. So, excuse my ginger ale. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna cut it off quick. And yeah, don't lose heart. Keep going. December 8th is gonna be a doozy. So get yourself safe in your body. Okay. Hands over your heart. Ask it what it needs, what it wants. Okay. And if you're super overwhelmed and you're really pissed off, just you don't have to beat it like an animal. I know. Natural response, gentle, right here. So here's your clavicle, and there's where your breastbone comes in, and there's just that little like, oh, there's some extra stuff right there. That's where you want to just tap gently. And then your system will automatically breathe in really deeply for you, and that opens the heart. Okay. I'm going to go remove my makeup so I can snuggle with the kitty. Right. There's the Fae of the Sows. All right. Until next time, keep your